Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. And I'm actually going to start with the envelope, which is what we started with in the other videos for our firemen and our policemen. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and just fold everything at the score marks here. We're going to bring these two flaps in and then cover it with this flap. And I'm going to simply just take some glue and put a little line of glue there. You don't want too much, because for some reason I noticed that the envelopes tend to kind of warp. Maybe it's because it's the white paper. Okay, and we'll just close that up like that. And just hold down in those areas where you added your glue. Give it a second to really grip. I think the harder you push down, the quicker it'll grip. And then you can fold this over and grab this little element here, and we're going to glue that down and get it centered. Okay, so just kind of look at the tip of that thing there. I forget what it's called, what the proper term is called. I'm sure someone will chime in to remind me. And just get little tiny dabs of glue on the piece here. It's a pretty delicate piece. You don't want to overdo it on the glue. You don't want it to smear. And then just use the tip of that to center it. Get it nice and centered. Do your best. And just push and hold that down until it gets a good grip. Okay, and there is your little envelope, which leads us to our card. And if you saw our fireman card, you'll know that we did some embossing on these sections here, and I've got this cute little heart embossing folder for the nurse card, because our nurses are full of love, and we want to just get that nice and aligned. Try to get a few hearts onto these pieces. I know they're kind of small, and maybe you have a better embossing folder that would work better. This is what we have, so that's what we're going to use. I'm going to put that in there. Make sure it's nice and centered. Sandwich it between. Well, it kind of moved a little bit. I don't want that. I'm going to leave it as straight as possible when you're embossing so that the pattern just kind of looks continuous. Okay. Get that sandwiched, put it on your large plate, and let's get the embossing folder out. Need the embosser. And I'm just using a Cuttlebug, but whatever embossing machine you have will do the trick. And just feed it through. Really simple. And there's our cute little heart pattern. Okay, so let's go ahead and start getting this in place. Now this card here, what you want to do is just fold like this and then fold like that. Okay, because it just kind of opens up like this. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to glue this piece right on here. You want to make sure you see where it's cut out there, that it's nice and flush. You shouldn't really see too much of that red poking out. Now, because of machines aren't always 100% accurate, so if you have a little bit of red showing through, it's not the end of the world. It's still going to look great. So just make sure that as you're putting your glue down on your paper, on this piece specifically, just be very sparse with it. Get your lines really thin. Keep that glue bottle moving so that you don't get too much glue in one spot. So the faster you move that glue bottle, the less likely you are to cake it in one spot. I probably would grab it from both sides like this and fold it in half, and then get that nice in place and just use the edge there to guide you. Once you have it in place, just push and hold down until it sets. Okay, that's cute, especially with the hearts there. I love that. Okay, so we can open that up. And then for these two pieces here, there are a series of little markers there to help you identify exactly where it goes. Okay, so we're just make sure that this curve on this piece is following the curve of this part here. And that way you know you have it in the right spot. Those hearts are just really cute. Okay, and then we'll just put our bottom piece in place. Very light glue on this. And there are also some little identifiers there, some guides to help you get the placement on that perfect. Okay, so we've got that embossed, and that just leaves this piece here. So we're just going to go ahead and put glue on this. Like I said, keep that glue bottle moving quickly. Let's get some nice, really thin lines of glue. Work some of that glue out to the edge. And just like that. And then just push and hold that down until it sets. And a little bit of glue come out, just as long as you rub that off before it dries. It really shouldn't leave a mark, okay? So that's pretty much it for that. Now we can take our little caption piece, okay, and it's 3 layers. The main part, this part with these weird little cutouts that just kind of show the little letters that have little middles that usually fall out, and then a back layer to bring that color back in. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put some glue on this piece here. It's very sparse. See how when you barely push down, put a little bit of pressure on that bottle and move it really fast, you see what happens there. It just kind of comes out in tiny little drops, and that just makes for a cleaner glue job that doesn't wreak havoc on the paper and doesn't warp it or make it bow or anything like that. It's just enough to get it to stick, but not too much. Okay, so that's that piece. And we're going to do the same with this piece here. Okay, get that glue out to the sides, and then put a few little dots here and there in between the actual caption, just to make sure that none of those parts peel away. Don't be overly concerned with it, because it's unlikely that it will, but just want to be careful. And then it kind of helps to hold it in your hand before you place it, just to get that alignment nice and perfect. That looks good, and then we can just push that down and let it set. Okay, great. So that is our little caption, and that is going to get glued right in the center there, like that. So we can go ahead and put glue on the back of this, just like that. I have a little bit too much there. Okay, and then do your best to get that nice and centered so you have a nice little border going all the way around this piece. And just push and hold that down until it's dry. Okay, and then we can go ahead and flip it like this. And we're going to put the front of it with our little nurse cap on. Okay, and we can begin by gluing this piece to this piece. Very simple. I've had the pleasure of being around some nurses the last year or so, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate what they do. Now, I've not been in the hospital, in case you guys are worried. I just have a really good friend that works in a hospital. There we go. Okay, so we got that piece glued in place, and then we're just going to take some of these smaller pieces here and get those glued down. We can begin with the large piece here. Just go ahead and nice thin lines of glue on this piece. I don't think you really need to worry too much about getting stuff out to the edge with little tiny pieces like this. The odds of them peeling away or slim to none. So this piece here, it's going to be pretty much flush with this hole here. Okay, so I'd use that as a guide. Okay, so that's how that should look. And that hole there is going to, you'll see the red, okay, because it's going to show through on this piece here. So that's where our red comes in. Okay, so now we have this little piece here. This is also going to be flush. So we want to work on this piece before we get the next two pieces in place. Okay, so this little thin strip, what I would suggest doing is just putting little dots of glue on the strip here. You don't want to get it too messy, and then just lay it down flush just against that opening there. Okay, you can kind of run your finger along the bottom there and just kind of push up if you need to adjust it. And because it's kind of a long strip, if for some reason you have a little edge peeling up, which I actually don't, I'm actually quite happy with how that glued down, so that's okay. But you can use the little razor technique where you just put a little bit of glue on to touch up the areas that you've seen in some of my past videos. Okay, and then we have these pieces here. Okay, and these pieces are simply just an alternate color to kind of give it dimension, and that's going to go like right there. So with this, it's a tiny little piece. You can grab your little pick-me-up tool if you have one, just to kind of get your piece on there. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on this little weird glue tray that I kind of used from a previous project. Okay, so we get that in place. I'll grab my other one and just get a tiny little bit of glue on there. You don't need much. And just get that in the corner there. Just like that. Okay, so you see how our little nurse cap is coming together. Okay, and then we've got this final little piece here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a light little coat of glue on this as well. Don't need too much. And we do want a little bit of a gap. And there's actually little markers there to help you with the alignment of this piece as well. Okay, so it should kind of look like that. So just get that glued down. Okay, so there is what it should look like. Okay, and then we can go ahead and put glue on the back of this whole thing. And it's okay if you go a little more glue on this piece here. It's a few layers thick. The odds of it warping are slim to none. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do our best to get that nice and centered. Make sure you've got a nice even border all the way around, and just push and hold that down until it sets. Okay, and there is your cute little nurse card. We've got a cute little area here to do some journaling, and then let's get our envelope and just pop it right in there. There you go. All done.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.